was the 10th anniversary of Vi's passing, and myself and Daz Russell were saying, so I've been hosting the anarcho-punk panel the past few years. He said it'd be really good to be able to do something on Poison Girls, but we'd really have to get some really like different people who knew her and things like that, and it was limited what we could get. I mean, Sid and Zilla was the obvious ones, but they got drafted in to do the Colin Jerwood one last year.
Yeah.
So that's them gone. Steve Ignorant does it every year, so again, it's nothing special. Penny Rambo and Eve Libertine both kind of went, no, we don't want to do these kind of things. I said, I've got a really good idea. I would love to do a full set of Poison Girls songs under the name Radical Architects. And Daz said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. So I've hooked up, it's all the Paranoid Visions musicians and Molly from Molly Vulpyne band, because she's got a great fucking vocal range. So we decided, I made out a set list of Poison Girls songs, and Danny, our guitarist, who's the one I kind of leave to make the notation, he said, have you any idea how complicated these songs are? And I went, well, yeah, but they're not that bad. He says, that's because you've been listening to them religiously for 45 years. You know, you're not noticing the stupid things that happen in these songs. So I went, oh, right, okay. So I went back to the drawing board and I came back to it again and went, how about this? Let's do Hex. Because they're a lot more there. I mean, they're not easy songs, but they're linear. Intro, verse, chorus, middle eight, verse, chorus, outro. They're linear. So we've now got, we've done Old Tart Song, which we did I mean, I didn't think we could do it because there's a trombone in that. And you know, and I'm saying to the rest of the bands that in fairness, like, that's come from Penny. The band didn't play live with a trombone. You know, Penny has gone, what a really great idea. Why don't we replace the bass with a trombone? So we said, let's put the bass back in and try that. So we did that, and it sounds really good. It's almost like a ska song. It's really cool. And Persons Unknown, obviously, even though it's not on the record, but that's got to be the closer.
Oh, yeah.
And Under the Doctor and Jump Mama Jump. We have all those so far. And we're going to use, there's an intro on Jump Mama Jump, you know, with Vi having an argument with the kids.
Yeah.
And then it comes in with this song goes to all you punk mothers out there. And come on out, Heidi, let's have you jump, mama, jump. We're going to actually have that sample on the stage. So we're going to start the gig with her.
That's awesome. That's really bloody good, that is.
That's going to be really cool. And then Bremen's song, which is the end of side one, has this poem with all these effects that Vi is saying. And we're going to get that as a full sample. And we're just going to play that on its own. And then a guitar kind of cuts in the background. And so that'll be the live guitar cutting into it. So that'll be really, really spectacularly cool. And then the last bit was there's these male, like a role of a like a doctor and a psychologist, you know, having sort of words with her or about her in a couple of songs. So we asked Dunstan Bruce would he do it. So Dunstan's going to show up on the stage, probably in a doctor's coat, and he's going to come. He's going to be that sample.
What about Haig of the Womb? What about Ruth and Karen? Could you not get them involved? Because if you listen to the interview,
they're going to be there, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and they were talking about her during their interview with me because she was like a mother figure to them. Like she'd talk about women's things. You'd have to listen to the interview, but yeah,
that might be that could be good because there's the on Bremen's song. There's this like there's kind of a refrain of "Burn Sister Burn," which was done by Eve Libertine and I think it's several Eve Libertines. And I thought it would be really cool to actually get a couple of people doing it. That would be ideal. I hadn't thought any further about it, to be honest, but that could be really cool. Bring on another couple of guests to do that part of it. It'd be amazing. And I had another idea of actually also putting in the set the a cappella version of Take the Toys from the Boys. We're hoping to do this as a really, really nice tribute, but also because I don't think anybody has ever done Boys and Girls covers certainly at Rebellion. You know, it's not a thing that people try and do, and having done some of the songs, I know why.
Yeah, I did what was it? Is it Cry No More?
Mm,
I did that one when we did like a Vi gig like bloody 10 years or so ago, and
right.
we did a cover of that, and that was yeah, that wasn't an easy easy one to do.
We actually had that in our set when we were doing the stuff with Steve Ignorant when we did the American tour. We had that in the set as well, and it was pretty good. You know, it's a really good song, and we haven't worked out how long the set is or how long we've got to have, so we might need another 5 minutes. I was talking trying to do Real Woman as an encore, which may or may not be a good idea. I'm not absolutely convinced that a version of that without keyboards on it would be really good. But Cry No More, we already know how to play, so that could be a real cracker for one to do as well. It's a hell of a song.
Yeah, really is. I love Poison Girls. I love Vi Subversa. It's a shame that I never got to meet her or get to know her. You know, it's like
she was adorable. She was really, but she was kind of like the mum that you actually didn't have.
Yeah, Karen
That's
and
the way
Ruth.
she came across.
Yeah, Karen and Ruth said that. You know.
Yeah, because that's the age group she was. But you know, it was like I was just thinking of it this morning because when I got into them in 1979, and I was 13. I think she was about 42 or 43. I think my mum was about 45 or 46. Everything that I was listening to, hearing what she was saying, I didn't realize that it was her talking about it from the point of view of a mother with kids the same age as me, and how what's happening in the world is affecting her and them, and also issues that affected her personally, you know, as a 40-odd-year-old woman. And it never occurred to me at 13. And then I was about 45 or 46, and for some reason it jumped in my mind. I was waiting at a coach station for somebody to arrive, and I was there half an hour early. I said, I think I'll put on Hex and listen to it on my headphones. And when I listened to it, the songs had a completely different meaning, because now I was the same age as she was when she wrote them. And suddenly I went, Jesus, yeah, they worked on completely different levels, or 3 completely different levels, because there's the woman part of it, which obviously I'm not one. But, you know, I had it from the kind of parent and adult point of view. So I can only imagine coming back to that after 30 years as a 40-odd-year-old woman, having listened to it and suddenly having your mind blown for a second time.
It's funny, isn't it, how you can listen to songs when you're older. It's like that makes sense now. When you're at the time, it's just a good song and you're into it, and you think, yeah, I'd like to be in a band like that, or I'd like to make music like that. But it's when you get into your 40s, I'd say into your 40s, you start realising you really understand the meaning of these lyrics and where people are coming from. You've got that more depth of knowledge, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's brilliant stuff.
So yeah,
what's the podcast about? I know it's more industry-ish, isn't it?
It's punk rock creatives. So any creative who has links with punk, like writers, poets, artists, designers, musicians.
Yeah.
Because I don't really like to call myself a musician. I'm so.
You play a ukulele. That's not very easy.
Yeah, I do the baritone now. So I started off with, the different to you. It's different tuning to your normal ukulele.
Yeah. So, were you playing in the Pukes?
I was in the Pukes, yes.
Yeah, the Pukes are still playing though at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. The scaled right down, and I played the first Rebellion with them and the second Rebellion with them, but I joined the Cherries and I had my son, and
Yeah, yeah.
juggling all the bands and having a small child, it all became a bit too much. So
No,
I
it's impossible.
focused
Yeah.
on I focused on Lost Cherries, because I've got to say, like, when my son was little, they were really supportive. Because I thought I'd say, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and they'd say, "Oh no, you've got to leave the band," because this is what happened to a female friend of mine. But Steve was really supportive, and he loved it. He was like taking me down to mother care.
It looks absolutely amazing. A photo of the band on stage playing, and you're heavily pregnant. I remember seeing those photos and go, "That is really fucking cool." The other one. What's that band? Lizzie Love.
Lizzie
What
Elastic
was
from
her band?
Dirty Love, yeah, because
Dirty Love, and Clara was 8 months pregnant, and they played support to Billy Idol, and she had the bass slung lower because I had to go
yeah,
underneath the button.
yeah, she was playing with the UK subs at the same time when she was. Yes, she was on stage with the UK subs. So when I was pregnant with my son, I was like asking her questions and like, "How did you
Yeah.
do it?" and things, and she was, she was like,
But
full
I mean,
advice.
they ended up getting a bigger photograph in some magazine of her with the bass, heavily pregnant, than Billy Idol.
Because when Clara did it, like, she's the first woman I saw on stage pregnant like that. Obviously, it was Nina Cherry, wasn't there? But that's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's mainstream, isn't it? But like
yeah,
from
yeah.
our scene, from the alternative scene, it's quite a big deal as well.
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
And
yeah. Great.
when I brought my baby to Rebellion, he was about a month old. I've got photographs of him with Jerry only, and
Right.
some of the comments and stuff I was getting, and I thought, do you know what? Whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. You put the giant headphones on him.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, which look ridiculous, but are completely necessary.
And do you know what? I saw Clara and Lizzie's children with those headphones on.
Yeah,
So that, again, like they were sort of infiltrated or influenced me on
yeah, yeah.
that. You
I haven't
can't.
seen Lizzie in ages, actually. I haven't seen Lizzie in ages.
Oh, she's an
Yes.
amazing woman. I love Lizzie.
Phenomenal.
She is, isn't
She's
she?
an absolute powerhouse.
Oh
Like she
God,
really
yeah.
is.
She's one of the smartest and
Mm.
strongest women I've ever met, and I've the pleasure to know. Who am I
Oh
talking
yeah.
to? Who are you?
Okay, I'm Peter Jones, and I have several things to bring to the table. I play in two bands, one Paranoid Visions and the Molly Vulpyne bands. So I play in both those bands. I run FOAG Music as a label. I also run No Romance Records as a label. I run Advance Records as an online distribution, which is mainly for the other two labels, but for other stuff if people need a platform. But I make my money. My daily job is I run a business called rotateavinyl.com, and we're a vinyl pressing service. I'm a vinyl broker, so we manufacture vinyl and CDs and cassettes and whatever else. But I lean towards as much vinyl as we can, and because of my background and because of my peers and the people that I know, I tend to do an awful lot of punk records, which is great. It's great dealing with people of a like mind. There's a certain amount of respect I always find that people who are in the punk community have for other people, and you assume that anybody who's a musician is like that, and that is absolutely not the case. you talk to different types of artists, and they're just deluded. There's a lot of people who are just completely deluded about their worth, whereas the punk bands always have an awful lot of worth, but don't necessarily care less about it. It's really cool. It's really cool like that.
Yeah, I've found that. So even like doing like art and design and creative stuff, where I've been doing a marketing design and things like that. I found
Mm,
within punk there is that mutual respect, isn't there?
mm.
We're all
There is, and
connected.
it's funny. Some of the old school guys, some of the people who are in their well into their 60s, who've been on the go for 50 years, the reason why they've been doing it for 50 years. It's not because it's a cash cow. You know, they've been doing it for 50 years because it's absolutely in their blood, and and it's not that they've adapted or adopted a kind of outlook on life and an outlook on how to deal with people and what you should and shouldn't do in a mutual respecting. They haven't adopted that. That's just what they were in the first place, which is how they ended up playing in a punk band. So it's really, really good, you know, when you deal with somebody like Noel from Menace, or JC Carroll from the Members, and I'm currently dealing with Peter Coyne from the Godfathers on a 7-inch single. And I mean, these people to me are the pop stars, you know.
Yeah.
They're people who helped form my life, and they're just really, really decent, normal people. I mean, Steve Ignorant's another great example. I mean, Steve is it's hilarious hanging around with Steve, because he believes that Penny Rambow was the star of Crass. You know, he doesn't think he had any consequence at all. He doesn't understand why anybody would actually have any interest in him, because Penny was the guy, you know? It's mental.
Oh, Steve, it's, you know, he's the sort of bloke you'd see down the pub, and the sort of person you could just go up to and talk to, and that's what all of us are like, really. You know, he's no.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got it down to a fairly decent fine art now, and how to deal with people, because I mean, I've stood there with him. I stood there with him in Newcastle, and this bloke came up to him to try and talk to him, and he got tongue tied, and he started getting all jittery, and he's like, oh, listen, Steve goes, hold on a minute, hold on. And he put his arm around him, and he said, I am a massive fan of the guy who wrote the book Tess. And about 10 years ago, he was doing a book signing, and I got to meet him. And what he had done meant so much to me, I completely lost it. I couldn't speak to him. So I completely understand what it is that you're trying to say. But you need to know I'm just a normal bloke like you. Like the guy who wrote Kes was. He just kind of went, you know, I wrote a book. So fucking what? So it's really, really heartwarming seeing that. You know, it's because he is so incredibly important to most of our lives, you know.
Yeah, I can't imagine a world without Steve Ignorant.
Yeah, or Dick Subhuman.
Yeah.
We all have to aspire to being Dick Subhuman.
Yeah, do you know what? In the early days of Paranoid Visions, you were on the Subhumans record label, Blurg, weren't you? How did all that come about?
I kept badgering, is the truth of it. I wanted to bring them over some gigs. We had an option to. There was a venue that we had access to, and they wanted to do a fundraising gig or two, and I said, I'll invite Subhumans. And they were like, yeah, okay, yeah. See how that works out. So we invited the Subhumans, and as it was, the Warzone people in Belfast had been asking them to play as well. So in the end of it, we had them playing Saturday and Sunday. Then on Monday, they went up to Belfast. They played in Belfast on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then they came back down to Dublin. We were meant to be off on Thursday and playing Friday and Saturday and then going home. But on the Friday night, the Fall were playing, and we all wanted to go, so we switched the gig to the Thursday night. So they came over. We got on really well with them. It was amazing how cool they were. And we'd wanted to make a record, and we had a demo. We'd done a demo tape, and as far as I was concerned, the demo tape was a record. Right? I didn't think of it as a demo. We spent 5 hours doing five songs, and I sent it to the first and last time I sent the demo tape to a record label. I sent it to Anagram Records, it was part of Cherry Red, I think, and got a mail back got a letter back saying, thanks a million for this. It's really good. We really like what you're doing. I'd be really keen on hearing what it'll sound like when you record it properly. And I went, what do you mean record it properly? But it's the fucking record. So that was the end of that. And that was the last why we never sent one again. And Dick had the blurred thing on, and I got a copy of it. I remember what it was. I think it was a demolition, or the demos, the demos thing that they did. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, I got a cassette off him, and I messaged and said, this is my band. We've got a cassette we really want to put out. Would you be interested? So I sent it over to him, quite liked it, and said he would do it on Blurg. And then, so we gave him the other 2 cassettes then as well. So that was the 3 cassettes came out on Blurg at that stage. And we had a plan trying to coerce, I suppose, in a way. We wanted to do a 7-inch single. And so I spoke with Dick about it and said, would you be interested in doing the 7-inch single? And he said, maybe. Depends how good the recording is, or something like that anyway. And I said, look, we're playing in London. We're going to book a studio in London. Do you want to come down and produce it? So he said, yeah, fine. So he, again, you're not thinking how much of a big deal that was because he was so normal. But the week before, he'd been on the cover of Sounds, and they were selling 50,000 albums. And there he is on the bus from Bath with us to London to produce a single and then spend the night in a squat in Wood Green. So we did the single anyway, brought it back. He said, look, I don't want to release it. It's not that I don't want to release your single. I'm not releasing any more singles because Southern have told me we lose our money every single time. So we're concentrating on albums and albums only. So maybe you could do a remix of that and maybe add some more to it. So I contacted the studio and said, any chance that we can send the guy who produced it back down to remix it? And he said, oh, we didn't think we'd ever hear from you again. We've erased the master tapes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a bit of a letdown.
I bet it was. Flipping heck. And that was...
Yeah, so, but that's where we started our relationship and stuff with them. The cassettes did quite well, we assume. We ended up recording a separate record that then went out with all the Madmen instead. So that was quite a cool thing as well, because the Subhumans and Mob were my 2 favourite bands. We couldn't do the single with Blur. Didn't actually think that, oh, well, if we get an album, then we could do an album with Blur. No, it's a single. It was a single. That's all there was to it. So, and I'd spoken with Corpus Christi about doing an album with Corpus Christi. And they basically said, yeah, no problem, we can do that. When you talk to us when the master tapes are ready. It just sort of died. I had this conversation at Rebellion, not last year, the year before, when I was hosting the Anarcho panel. And I had Joseph Porter, Mark from the Mob, Steve Lake, Andy T, and Colin Sherwood on my panel. And in the course of conversation, Andy T had said, yeah, I made a record with Nico and it was going to go out on Corpus Christi. And then Steve Lake said, yeah, well, the first Sounds album was actually going to go out on Corpus Christi. And then Joseph Porter said, yeah, and the first Blind Power album was going to go out on Corpus Christi. I said, actually, our first record was going to be on Corpus Christi. I said, what the fuck went wrong with all this? Why did none of us do it? And the general consensus was that the idea of Corpus Christi was to throw the ownership of making a record at the band, and they would literally be thanks for your record, put it out. and they would finance putting it out and put it through the shops. Literally, but there was no way they were ever following up and contacting back and saying, where's that record we were talking about? Whereas we were sitting back going, nervous at the idea, going, well, you can't be too presumptuous here. But we should have been too presumptuous, because that's how cool and casual they were. It was like, yeah, whatever, yeah, fine, yeah, send over the masters. Put it out. But I think the Andy T and Nico one sounds absolutely fascinating. It sounds like that's going to be really fascinating.
It's just like, I just love the DIY ideas and ethos behind things. It's just, and you hear all these different ideas and these different experiences. It's just brilliant, isn't it? It's just like such a rich and interwoven history.
Yes, it is big time, and I mean, certainly when hosting those anarcho panels, you realise that I'm very, very much of an outsider, because we were in Dublin, and I'm probably 2 years too young.
Yeah.
Where you see the way that the rest of them were integrated with each other, it's incredible. It's incredible. And even, sitting in on a conversation in a bar with, it's a few years back, there was Jimmy from The System, Oscar from Anthrax, and Steve Ignorant. And the three of them sitting there with me sitting on another chair like a spare fucking prick. And the three of them talking about the old days. Oh, remember that time when Gary Dirt snuck underneath the bar and stole everything that was, white. Every clear alcohol liquid, putting into a pint glass and bringing it out. And, I remember when we broke into the Zigzag Club. Oh, that was... Who are these people and what am I doing here?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what, Peter? I've had moments like that. I'm like, what am I doing here? It's
it's an imposter syndrome, but it's welcomed in. I mean, we were playing America with Steve, and we had in the set 6 Crash songs, 2 Stratford Mercenaries songs, 2 Schwarzenegger songs, Poison Girls song, Tube Disasters, and a handful of songs that we'd written with Steve as well. And this is like it's a tribute to Steve's 40 years in music at that time. So it was bands that he'd been in for 40 years. We did Conflict song as well, I think. All the bands that he'd been in for 40 years, including ourselves, and then we threw in Tube Disasters as a cover version at the end. But I'm standing on the stage in San Francisco, or Berkeley in San Francisco, and we'd coerced him into doing Mother Earth. He kept saying he doesn't want to do it, don't like doing it, don't like the lyrical content. But what I really don't like is seeing people with great big grins on their face dancing and jumping around to a song with that subject matter. Everyone should be standing there with their hands down, with their faces down to the ground and crying. That's what people should be doing to this song. I'm not comfortable with people enjoying themselves. And we went, oh, we spent 2 rehearsals learning how to play it. And in the end, he said, oh, right, look, okay, right, we'll do it. So we were playing Mother Earth, and halfway through the first verse, I got this sense of reality. Here I am in San Francisco on somebody else's money, playing Mother Earth with one member of Crass. How the fuck has this happened? This is just lunacy. It was lunacy. I got a massive sense of reality out of it. It was really, really bizarre. But that goes. I suppose it goes with the territory. We've all had those kind of moments, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, I've got on stage at Rebellion, at the opera house stage, and I've looked out and I'm like, what are all these people doing here looking at me? And they're all at the front there, getting into it, and I'm like...
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's insane. And it's a great thing to be involved in. It keeps you on the one hand it keeps you young, but also on the other hand it keeps you extremely grounded, because you do that and you know exactly how unspecial you are.
Yeah.
Well, how completely normal of a person you are. And my attitude towards the audience and everything is, you know, we're all completely on the same playing field. It just so happens at this moment in time, I'm playing guitar on the stage and you're watching, but in an hour's time, I might be watching you on the stage.
Yeah. I
You
can
know,
see
so
people. Yeah.
and when you get that, when that frame of mind is refreshed, then when you look at every band, you think, well, they're all on the same playing field as me, and so it just gives you a different. I feel it gives you a different outlook on life. You know.
It keeps you grounded, and it also, yeah, just everything you've said. You know, you just said that so well. It just keeps you grounded.
Yeah, and well, you see it as well. I mean, I'm really, really lucky in this. Like in my job, I get to deal with, you know, a lot of my favorite ever bands. You know, like I'm pressing records for Ruts DC and things like that. You know, and the Alarm, and you know, so you get to meet these people and realize how incredibly normal they are, but also you get really pally with some of them. And so sometimes I've been at Rebellion. And being in one of the external pubs, and I'm standing there, and Segs comes out, and so I'm standing there chatting to Segs, but I can see people going past, and they're nudging each other and going, nuts. And taking a you know, my mate, I've got his phone number. And the time that some gig Shepherd's Bush Empire, when the Last Supper gig, the last of the Last Supper gigs was on, we were playing and the Cravats were playing and Andy T, and then it was a Steve Ignorant band, and there was an after show party, and there's a great photo of myself and G where I've said something witty and she's laughing, and Steve said you don't usually see a photo like that of G completely relaxed,
Yeah.
healthy back. That was really cool. But then there's also a guy. I can't remember his name. He's a journalist and TV personality and a photographer. He's a friend of the Shend, anyway. This guy, and Gay Advert walked past me, and coincidentally, that week, the single that we made with TV Smith, Outsider Artist, had bizarrely been number 6 in the Irish charts, which, you know, the stats kind of go that was the first time since probably about 1982 that an independent released punk rock record was in the national charts top 10, which is a hell of a stat to have, you know? Yeah. And it was the biggest hit that TV Smith had ever had. So I'd said this to Gay because Tim was away somewhere. He couldn't be at the gig, and he was away. And she says, yeah. I saw that. That's really impressive. And so this friend of Shen's came over to me and he went, was that Gay Advert? I said, yeah. Can you introduce me? Not really. She doesn't know who the fuck I am. But I said, okay. I said, Gay, this is my friend, whatever his name is, and I turned around and walked away again. Fuck's sake. God, we got an absolutely amazing photograph of Steo, Zilla and Sid. This is sort of a midnight when we're all absolutely trashed. And I'm trying to take a photograph of the three of them standing up. And when you look at the photograph, you've got the top of Zilla's head, you've got Steo from the jaw up, and then you've got Sid from the nose down. Not an actual full face anywhere on the photograph. What a fun night that was.
Oh, I saw Sid and Zilla on Monday because it turns
Oh,
out
did
they,
you?
yeah, because they rehearse at the same space that I do. Because I don't know if you know, I've got a new setup. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's gonna go, so don't expect too much from me. They're saying that the last gig I did on my own. Because they were like,
Hmm.
"We're not ready yet, Marie," and I'm like, "I don't give a shit. I'm doing it anyway." And then I got nervous after I'd played. I got
Yes.
off the
Yeah.
stage
Good.
and I was really shaking. I've never had that before. And,
Jesus.
and somebody had to help me at the bar. They were like, "We'll buy you a drink. You're shaking so much." And then they said, "Do you need a drummer?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And that person's now playing drums with us. So there you go. So it
Brilliant.
paid to have a
Brilliant.
crisis at the bar after a
W-
solo show.
was that a Rubella Ballet gig?
No, no, it was a love music hate racism gig.
Right. So it was from the straight front. It's a great front three.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it's a great front three.
they look so great as well. It's like I was saying to Zilla, you look great. You and Emily look beautiful. You've got like the
Mm.
neon, you've got the outfits.
Yeah.
It just works so well.
Yeah. They're just a natural fit. I mean, they had another guitarist last time I saw them. He was German or Dutch or Swedish or something like that, and he was a similar height to Sid, and he had his mohawk up that was about 4 inch high mohawk. So it just they were Zilla in the middle and these two flanking her. You know, it looked like Land of the Giants. I don't think he's there anymore. So yeah, I don't know if they got two guitarists again or are they back to that just down to Sid,
It was down to Sid.
just down to Sid.
Yeah, got to say it must be hard for Sid because he's actually a drummer, isn't he? So he was a drummer, the original drummer.
I can imagine it being harder for any drummer coming in and playing for
Oh
Rubella,
God, yeah.
knowing that Sid is probably 20 times the drummer
I
that they
know.
are.
I just think they're amazing. They're an amazing band. They're amazing
Yeah,
people.
yeah, they are. Yeah, yeah, they're stunning. We pressed a couple of records for Rubella. I released one. God, I can't remember the name of it. It was the orange 10 inch. It was the first release that we did on the No Romance label, and it was a phenomenal record, absolutely awesome. Um, like that label was set up with the idea of replicating the what Crass were doing with Crass Records, in that you walk into a record shop in 1980 and you'd see a new Crass label single up on the wall, and you buy it no matter what the hell it was. You just knew that it was going to be amazing. And that common identity I thought was incredible. I've never understood why people haven't done it since. To me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Um, Oddly enough, the nearest that ever came to it was U2 when they set up their label Mother Records. They were releasing things on 7 inch and 12 inch, and they had bespoke outer sleeves where the hole in the middle of it actually had a dip in it, and they had an M going around it for Mother, and that's a bit of a nod towards it, which I thought was quite good. So with No Romance, we decided we'd do all these things as 10 inch singles, and we do them all with a poster style sleeve, and they've all got a common identity. They're the same text, same position of text, kind of fucked up version of an image in the background. And then you fold it out and open it out, and there's the original band's artwork that they supplied on the inside as a poster. And we do the outside in, say, like Rubella's one, the outside was orange and the vinyl was orange. Then we did the Pain one, it was in light blue with a light blue record. Andy T's one was pink with a pink record. The Hoker's one was red with a red record. And then we did two Bullshit Detector inspired compilation albums called Bullshit 2023 and Bullshit 2024. And they were black vinyl 20-track albums. And we were retailing them for £8. So we sold them for pretty much the manufacturer price. And we couldn't hold on to them. It was unbelievable. Like, there was the second one that we did sold out about a month before the records were delivered. Phenomenal. On pre-sales, phenomenal. A lot of work went into it though for literally zero gain, but it was a really cool thing to do, and I think we'll probably do one this year. Hopefully, we'll do one this year. We weren't A&Ring the bands. You know, it was like I put a call out. Anybody want to be on this that we're doing? And literally the first 20 people who sent me something in were on the record.
Nice.
Which
When you going to do that again?
yeah, it's the way, I mean, that's the way the Crass did it. You know, they didn't listen to the things that go that the value of this one is more than the value of this one. They just stuck them together, and up it went.
Nice.
And that's the way it really should be. That's
Yeah.
the way, you know, they made no attempt to improve the quality of anybody's recordings. So the only thing that we did was balance out the volume. That was it. Other than that, we didn't do any mastering. We didn't do anything to make it any better. We didn't do any tidying up. If there was a 1, 2, 3, 4 at the beginning, or if there was a bum note at the end, they were all left identical. And they're really, really good records. They went down really, really well now. So yeah, now I'm inspired, and now I have to do another one.
So when will that call out be, Peter? Just so.
Um, you never know. It might be soon. Now I'm thinking about it. It might be soon. We threw a thing to all the bands that we'd said we would give every single band a copy, but they were only selling for £8. You know, so if you want to buy some more, if you want to buy any, I'll mark them off the list. I mark them off the inventory list. If you want buy 5, you can buy 5 for £7 or whatever. And one of the bands bought 25 copies.
Nice.
And that's really, really cool. It's a really cool. One of the bands I did find. No, it's a different compilation. Sorry, I was going to say one of the bands that found bought them for £7, waited till they sold out and sold them for 15. But that didn't happen. that was a totally different. I did another compilation album, and the arrangement that I made was that all members of the bands would get a copy. Right, so if there's 4 people in the band, they got 4 copies, and one of those bands sold their 4 copies. They were blatant about it. They went on Facebook. We've only got 4 copies of this to sell, and they sold them for £20 each.
Who was this? I can't you say?
I won't tell you.
Oh, damn it!
I won't tell you because I actually can't remember, to be honest with you. But,
oh, you can't remember? Okay, I believe you.
At the time, going, what the fuck? And of course, no, they weren't a punk rock band. They were a very kind of young post-punk band who I really liked. I really thought they were a cool band. They had no concept whatsoever of what we were doing. They just wanted a song on an album. Anyway, 4 people bought that record and got exposed to 19 proper bands.
It'll dawn on them when they're about 40.
When it's going on eBay for £150 from me because I kept a copy. Yeah.
I was going to ask who came up with Paranoid Visions first? Was it you or was it Deco? Was it a joint?
It was Deco. We had he had a band called Insane Youth, and there was him, Colin on drums, Brian on guitar, and they had a series of bass players that it never worked out. Just, you know, they for whatever reason, it just never worked out. Anyway, I knew Deco vaguely, and I was in a record shop, and himself and Brian were in there. And I said, so what's happening with the band? And they went, oh no, we jacked that band in. We couldn't manage to keep it going together. So we decided to start a new band, and we called it Paranoid Visions. And Brian said, I'm taking up bass instead of guitar because all the bassists we had they had no concept of what we were trying to play. So I'm going to play bass, and now we need a guitarist. And I went, well, Yeah, okay, well, I'll do it. And Brian said to me, do you have a guitar? And I went, yeah, I do, yeah, yeah. And he looked at Deco, and Deco nodded, and he said, he does, yeah. It's got a case. And Brian goes, rehearsal next Saturday. And then the big bonus was that I showed up 5 minutes early on the Saturday. They weren't expecting me to arrive at all. And I showed up when Brian was looking at, and I had a hard case for my guitar. I always used to have a laugh reading the Ian Glasper's books. You know, have you read any of those?
I have. I've got some here.
But on the anarcho one, I'm reading, and these bands are saying, "Oh, things were really, really tough back in those days." You know, we used to travel to our rehearsals on the bus, and we'd be bringing the guitar amp on the bus, and someone else had said something about robbing a shopping trolley and wheeling the drum kit down to rehearsal. Now I'm looking at that and going, "That's fucking luxury, lads." We had no amps at all. Our drummer didn't even have sticks. He would rifle through the bin in the rehearsal studio looking for a broken stick to play drums. You know, and that's the way it was over here. No bands had any equipment, none whatsoever. It was that's just the way it was. No one had amps. No one had. So occasionally, if you're doing a gig, you'd have to hire in a drum kit and guitar amps and bass amps and everything else, which makes it a very expensive night for a fight to happen. So,
yeah.
You know, pay the venue 150 quid security deposit. A fight happens, somebody steals everything from the bar, and the police get called. Can we have our deposit back? Deposit back? Out. Poor guys can collect their higher equipment, and there's broken glass all over and blood on the walls, and you know, you can take the drum kit back and the guitar amp now. So yeah, things were tough back in those days.
Oh yeah, no, I've had a lot of chats about punk in the 80s, and I don't know what Ireland was like, but in the UK, a lot of 80s punk seemed to get stabbed. There used to be like a spate of stabbings, yeah. I think, yeah, Laurie got stabbed in the arm by he was just sitting down talking to somebody, and somebody I know, he was at a gig, he was only young, and somebody just put a screwdriver in his back. He didn't even realise till he went to the bathroom, and somebody said, "Screwdriver in your back, mate?" And he's like, "What?" He didn't even realise. Yeah, a lot of people I know, punks from the 80s.
We used to find that wasn't any stabbings, but there was always fights. What we reckoned was, well, what we know was that, you know, when you're like, everybody knows people who have realized in their 20s that alcohol doesn't agree with them. Now, I'm not saying that they have a drink problem, but people understand that, yeah, well, every time I drink, trouble attracts to me, and I end up in a row and whatever else, and it tempers, whatever. You know, everyone knows that when you're 16, you haven't reached that stage. So you don't know if alcohol doesn't agree with you.
Yeah.
So what we used to find was that 16 and 17-year-olds, and because that's how old we were playing in the gig, and as the night got on, people were getting drunker, and then someone would bang into somebody and a fight would happen. We were lucky in that we were quite a good band from scratch. You know, most of us could play, and we had an individual sound. So, and we grabbed the scene, as in, you know, no one was not going to offer us any gigs, so we booked the venues ourselves. We booked the gig, and we put the gig on, and then we get every band or every friend that we knew who was trying to get a band together and put them on a bill. But it meant that we were probably headlining, so the gig had been on for about 4 hours, and people had been drinking for 4 hours and gradually getting worse and worse and worse. And so always when we started playing, a row would happen, because people were getting obstreperous then and dancing and jumping around or whatever. We found it always happened when we stopped playing. So we started running the first 3 songs in the set together, because then there wouldn't be any pause, and at least we'll be able to play those 3 songs. And as soon as we stopped for a pause, then big punch up, the police would be called. We only needed to have 3 songs. We never get past them. So that happened at every single gig that we did. It was absolute fucking chaos. It was chaos. And we play up in the north of Ireland where we think the same, you know, and the same thing would happen there. Only it would happen there with more of a sense of danger, because sometimes those fights, they were politically motivated. Yeah. They weren't that someone had elbowed someone and knocked their pint out of their hand. They were like, we're here to, you know, we're here to bash some loyalists, so we're here to bash some Catholics or whatever else. And they were there waiting for the opportunity. And when everyone's at dancing, here's the opportunity. We're all dancing now. We're on to the bang. You know? So it was quite wild, you know, when you think about it.
Yeah. God, yeah, definitely mad times. Not like I was alive in the 80s, but not old enough to go to gigs. So I only know about this from, obviously. But what Lorik made an interesting point. He said it was the kind of drugs people were on, like in the 90s. Right. Like when I used to be part of like the squat scene, and I used to see like Pain and Oi Polloi and stuff. Like people were smoking weed and taking like all the hippie drugs. So nobody had it in them to fight.
Yeah, it was everyone was either stoned or loved up.
Yes. Or older, or a bit older and a bit wiser.
Well,
So
at the end of the 70s and early 80s, it was all people doing speed and bad quality speed. And I mean, over here, it probably wasn't as bad because I don't do drugs, never do drugs, never have done drugs. But I'm reliably informed that the speed in Ireland was absolute shit. So that wasn't the cause of aggression. It might have been aggression because someone had just spent £5 on this stuff and it was fucking rubbish. So maybe that was it. I just crushed up Alka-Seltzer or something.
Or could it have been alcohol? As you said, you know, like young people, alcohol. You know, you can't handle it just yet, and
yeah, there's a big thing of that. I mean, alcohol over here has always been a little bit stronger than over in the UK. Our beer is about 5%, 5.5 as standard, whereas yours would be 3.7 or 4.2. And the measures, if you got a vodka, one of your double vodkas is just about the same as one of our single vodkas. People were probably getting trashed an awful lot more and a lot more aggressively.
Yeah.
Flagons of cider, which were like rocket fuel, and snake bites with flagons of Linden Village mixed with Carlsberg Special Brew. I mean, it's not going to end well.
It's not, is it? Oh, especially when Special Brew's involved. I used to drink Special Brew, and you know what? You know, when you learn at an early age that is not the drink you should be having.
I was very fortunate to discover at a very early age that Carlsberg Special Brew and Tennant Super were not things that I would ever want to drink again. Thank you very much.
And when you're young, you think you're big and hard, like with a Special Brew, don't you? And then you soon learn it's like, no.
3 2-litre flagons of lager and 4 cans of Special Brew, and they're all for me, you know. You go through one and then you're passed out and people are walking off with the rest of your stuff, right? Yeah. They were the days.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we're a bit more grown up and sensible now, so we say, on the surface. We'd like to think.
Grown up anyway. I don't know if any of us are actually more sensible.
Oh no,
that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, so that's for another podcast.
So she had her band Vulpynes, and there's just 2 of them. And during lockdown, she spoke with me saying she wanted to do a solo record that was completely different. So I said, yeah, well, I mean, I'll obviously press it for you anyway, but I'll release it. And so she had it done. I played a bit on it. Tony from the Lee Harveys played bass on it, and it was ready to go. And I said, got to do something to launch this, like, you know. And she's like, I never thought of that. So we're going to have to do a gig. And she says, yeah. So you've got more songs? I said, yeah, I've got loads of songs that I don't suit Vulpynes. So anyway, the initial idea was that myself and Tony and a drummer would do the EP, and then she would pepper it in between all the songs with a guitar and vocal. some of our other songs. But as it turned out, we ended up piecing together actual live versions of about 7 or 8 songs. And so we did the gig, went down Storm, really, really enjoyed it. Single did really well. And so we've got to do this again. So the doing it again just keeps going and going and going and going. So reaction's been really good. You know, she's very talented, very, very talented indeed.
Yeah.
It's all we're just we refer to ourselves as the eye candy. So we even got someone did a review which said Molly Vulpyne and her all male backing band. So we got t-shirts done to match the ones. And who was it who had it? It might have been Shirley Manson. Someone had a t-shirt anyway that said female fronted band is not a genre, which I thought was a really good t-shirt. So we did our own one which says male backing band is not a genre.
It makes you sound like I don't know, like the Chippendales or something.
Yeah, doesn't it? So we've got to be playing all over the place. We've done bucket loads of gigs and really good ones. We've had some. We're sort of fitting right in the middle of several genres. You know, we're equally as happy on stage supporting the Cockney Rejects as we are playing the Opera House at Rebellion, as we are playing support to CKY, you know, the kind of grungy metal band.
Yeah.
And then we supported Alexis on Fire as well at a massive gig. So we've done a whole cross section of different types, and then she does a handful of them of her just doing guitar and vocal sets as well. And the album's out at the end of February. Finally, we've been hanging on. We've been sitting on it for about 6 months, teasing things out and building some more momentum and whatever else. So I'm really, really, really proud of it. I mean, the production and sound on it is absolutely whopper. Like it's a big, big, big noise. So yeah, so that's out then, which is really cool.
Is that Houndstooth?
Houndstooth and the Hum.
Houndstooth and the Hum. Yeah,
Houndstooth and the Hum.
She's got the Houndstooth coat, and she is it part of
the? Yeah, that's why it's Houndstooth and the Hum. She used to always be really into leopard skin. The leopard skin was a big thing. And then there's a TV program, a really good TV series. I can't remember the name of it. And one of the lead characters, who was a villain, was immensely stylish, like really, 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 really sharp, stylish. And she wore loads of houndstooth. And Molly sent me a message saying, leopard skin's dead, houndstooth's in. She's started picking up houndstooth. She's got like loads of different houndstooth things. And that's so that that then had to go in the title of the record so that we'd have a justification to have houndstooth all over the front of it. But there's a kind of an explanation. There's a hidden track, which I shouldn't tell you because it's a hidden track, of a poem called Houndstooth and the Hum, which sort of basically explains what the whole concept is, and it's really good. It's really good. So I'm very proud of it, I have to say, very proud indeed.
And when's it out?
28th of February.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're doing 2 Irish gigs with Interrobang to launch it, and then the Interrobang album is coming out in April, and so we're going over to do 3 UK gigs with Interrobang to launch their record, but also nice. To give out Bolster as well. So
yeah, what's happening with the documentary? Because I've seen the Paranoid Visions documentary. I don't know, where do I see it? Where do I get it?
Okay, well, we had 2 cinema screenings over here, and we had one in San Francisco, and we have it on a cassette-shaped flash drive. Do I have one? No, that's someone else's flash drive. No, it's on a cassette-shaped flash drive, which is really cool. So it looks like a cassette, but it's a flash drive. and that's available to buy. And there's also a streaming version that you can buy. The streaming version is only €4. The flash drive is 15 or 16, something like that. But they've both got, it's a 2-hour long documentary, which is really, and it's really good. Like we didn't make it, someone else made it. It's really good. But there's bonus stuff on it, which is worth the money on its own. There's a full 15-minute interview with Dick Subhuman that beggars belief. Like, it's just phenomenal. There's about a 20-minute interview with John Robb that's also absolutely brilliant. And then when they were filming the documentary, they followed us around and did loads and loads of footage. Like, he ended up with something like 95 hours worth of footage. We played a gig in a venue called the Tivoli, which is like a 1,500 capacity, really prestigious, cool venue. And we played there with Flogging Molly. And so they came down to get footage of that. And they filmed our entire set with 3 cameras and a professional Zoom recording. And he edited that and mixed that up. And it's just incredible. Quality is incredible. So that's on it as well.
Nice.
And then we had a bootleg of us playing in 1985, supporting the Subhumans in Dublin. And we had a bootleg of that at the time. So that's there as well. And then we'd reached a single at a similar time of that called Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda. We had a really good video made for that. So all of these things were on as bonus material with the documentary. So it's pretty good. We haven't got it up for free on YouTube or anything like that because we wanted. They spent 4 years making it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And they're working on. It's, as I said, it's 2 hours 5 minutes long. We've been told that for streaming services that's a little bit too long. We have somebody who, an aggregator of some sorts, who's going to look after trying to get it onto, Prime and things like that. So he's had to do a 90-minute edit of it, which I don't know how he's done. I'll be honest with you. I could have taken out about 3 minutes. I don't know how he's managed to take out half an hour of it. So that's been done. So we're hoping it's going to show up on some sort of a TV or some sort of a free streaming service or something like that.
Like Netflix.
If not, then we'll, after that we'll end up throwing it up on YouTube, I'm sure. But yeah, it's and we're very pleased with it. Very proud of it. It's quite an emotional thing, to be honest. Watching it, there's a lot of love and there's no nastiness in the whole thing, if you know what I mean. It's extremely positive, and it's partly about us, but it's also meant to be like an education for people who don't understand the punk scene, to show them what it's actually about and what DIY music is about and what you can do with DIY. That's the kind of mantra for it.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's why it took so long to do, because there's no way we could make a documentary about DIY punk and a DIY punk band if we had any financial backing. That's not the same thing anymore, or a proper producer or a company behind it. That was just a no. It was not an option.
Yeah.
So the 2 guys who made it, father and son, Greg and Dave Clifford. Dave Clifford goes back to like 1977 here, managing bands, playing in bands. He was the first alternative new wave type of magazine that ever existed over here. Was called Vox Magazine, and he was behind that. And then his son Greg he's a singer-songwriter. The punk thing he didn't understand it at all until he started hanging around and talking with us, and he's really embraced the whole vibe of it. And he does normal sort of rock gigs and singer-songwriter gigs, but he's now sort of embraced the DIY ethos of it. So he's playing loads more gigs than he ever used to, but he's booking them himself.
Yeah.
And he lives in Berlin, and he travels like from Berlin to Munich himself to go and do a gig, and then travel back again for the experience of doing it. And so he's learned a lot. And that was quite nice to have them on board, you know. But they all, like Greg learned how to do editing and everything on the fly. Like his education into how to make a documentary was doing a documentary. So it's an extremely DIY project.
It's very much like this. This has just been learning on the job for me. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I've learned to edit and everything. I'm still,
Wow, nicely.
yeah, I have. You know, everything has been from the grassroots up.
Yeah.
With this podcast.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what it should be. That's the that's where we've come from, isn't it? Like,
it is.
You know, don't wait for someone to tell you how to do it. Just do it and figure it out yourself, warts and all.
Yeah.
Sooner or later you'll figure out how to do it, or you'll give up. You know.
Yeah, and I'm not really. I'm one of these like people who carry on until the bitter end. And if somebody says no to me, I'll be like, right, I'll have me cry and I'll get back up and I'll do it. And I think that's
Get knocked down, get back up again.
Yeah. Oh, who said that? Who sang that one?
I'm constantly winding Dunstan up over that. You know, I have such a good time. Such a good time. And I was sitting in a pub in Amsterdam after one of the Rebellion Amsterdam things with Colin and Steve. And Colin was being, you know, very how, you know, changing the world and look what we did and all this. And I pointed out that Chumbawamba sold 17 million copies of a record, and then sold 4.5 million copies in America alone of an album to a load of kids who had absolutely no idea what they were getting into. And they got into this with a catchy little song and had left-wing rhetoric fucked at them. And it said, you realize that song, never mind the album, but that song did more to change the world than anything that the two of you did put together. And reluctantly, Steve's like, yeah, you're right, yeah. And Colin's begrudgingly agreeing as well. And so about 6 months later, I was having this conversation with Dunstan and telling him what had happened there. And he went, no. Because if it hadn't been for crass and conflict, Chumbawamba would never have formed in the first place. So no, they did everything to change the world. They might have done it through us, but they're the people who did it. They're the people who created that space for us to actually do it. Argument gone.
Oh my God, do you know what? Being part of that's just, what a conversation to be a part of.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I get myself in these conversations, though. We go looking for it. All right, well, look, it's been an absolute massive pleasure, of course, as always.
Yeah, and, thank you. Thank you for being
seeing you.
And nice to see you. I will do. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks a million. Cheers. Bye-bye.
That was Peter Jones from Paranoid Visions. Thank you for listening to the Punk Rock Creators podcast. We'll catch you soon. Thank you. Bye.